Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Speakology 2.0. I'm Alex, and today we're starting something very practical. We're going to learn how to use professional English in the office, not just grammar, but real communication that you can use every day.
And I'm Ryan. Let me guess, have you ever known the correct English words, but when you actually needed to speak in the office, your brain suddenly decided to go on vacation?
Exactly. One moment you're confident, and the next moment you're staring at your colleague thinking, why is my brain loading like slow internet?
Don't worry, it happens to everyone. Today we're going to fix that using simple phrases, real office situations, and some smart psychological techniques that help your brain respond faster.
Let's imagine this. It's your first day at a new job. You walk into the office, people are working, typing, maybe pretending to work very seriously.
Yes, and you're thinking, should I say hello? Should I wave? Should I just disappear into a chair and hope nobody notices me?
The best thing to do is simple. Use a clear, confident greeting. Hi, I'm Alex. Nice to meet you.
You can also add a small comment. It's my first day, so I'm still learning everything.
That sentence is powerful because it does two things. First, it introduces you. Second, it lowers expectations. People become more patient with you.
Psychological tip, this is called expectation framing. When you tell people you're new, your brain relaxes because you don't feel pressure to be perfect.
And here's a thought you can practice in your mind before entering the office. I am calm. I can speak clearly. I don't need perfect English, just clear English.
That kind of self-talk trains your brain to stay relaxed. And when your brain is relaxed, your English becomes better automatically.
Now let's talk about small talk. This is where many learners feel uncomfortable.
Yes, because small talk feels small, but it's actually very important. It builds relationships.
Imagine your colleague says, "Good morning, how are you?"
Instead of just saying fine, try expanding your answer. I'm doing well, thanks. A bit busy today, but everything's going smoothly.
That extra sentence makes you sound natural and professional.
You can also ask a follow-up question. How about you? Is your day going well?
Psychological technique, conversation looping. When you ask a question back, your brain stays engaged and the conversation continues naturally.
And if you want to sound more relaxed, you can say something like, I think my coffee is working better than me today.
That kind of light expression makes conversations feel human, not robotic.
Let's be honest, at some point you will need help at work.
Yes, and the worst thing you can do is stay silent and struggle for 2 hours.
Instead, use clear and polite phrases. Excuse me, could you help me with this task?
Or, I'm not sure how to do this. Could you guide me?
Notice how these sentences are simple but professional.
Psychological trick. Permission mindset. Give yourself permission to ask questions. Your brain stops seeing it as a weakness and starts seeing it as learning.
Also, when someone helps you, respond properly. Thank you, that really helped me understand.
And if you want to sound even more natural, I appreciate it. You just saved me from pressing the wrong button for the 3rd time.
That's a very real office situation.
Now let's talk about giving updates. This happens every day in the office.
Your manager might ask, how is the project going?
Instead of saying good, try the project is going well. I've completed the first part and I'm working on the next step.
That sentence shows progress and structure.
You can also add details. I'm facing a small issue, but I'm working on a solution.
Psychological technique, structured thinking. Train your brain to answer in 3 parts: current status, progress, next step.
Your brain loves patterns. Once you practice this structure, your answers become automatic.
Sometimes your manager gives instructions and your brain hears nothing.
Yes, you hear English, but your brain says, let's process this later.
In that situation, don't panic. Use clarification phrases. Could you please repeat that?
Or, just to confirm, you want me to finish this by tomorrow, right?
This is called active confirmation. It shows professionalism and prevents mistakes.
Psychological tip, focus reset. When you ask someone to repeat, your brain becomes alert again.
And if you're thinking, I hope they don't ask me something I didn't understand, don't worry, everyone feels that.
Let's move to emails. Many learners think emails must be very complicated.
But actually, simple and clear emails are better.
Start with, Dear John, I hope you are doing well.
Then your message. I would like to update you on the project progress. Keep sentences short.
And clear. We have completed the first phase. The next phase will begin tomorrow.
Psychological technique, sentence simplicity rule. Short sentences reduce stress and increase clarity.
And end with, best regards, Alex.
That's it. No need to write a novel.
Now let's talk about confidence. This is the most important part of professional English.
Because even if you know the words, without confidence, you won't use them.
Here's a simple daily practice. Before work, think in English for 2 minutes.
For example, today I have a meeting. I will speak clearly. I will stay calm.
This is called mental rehearsal. Your brain prepares for real situations.
Another technique is micro-practice. Speak small sentences throughout the day. I will send this email now. I need to finish this task. Let's imagine you are leading a meeting. Everyone is waiting for you to start. No pressure, right?
The key is to begin with a simple and confident opening. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the meeting today.
Then clearly state the purpose. Today, we'll discuss the project progress and next steps.
That's it. You don't need complicated language.
Psychological technique, first sentence focus. If you practice your opening line, your brain relaxes because it knows how to begin.
And once you start speaking, everything becomes easier. Now let's say you want to share your idea in a meeting.
Instead of jumping in suddenly, use a polite entry phrase. I'd like to share an idea.
Or, I have a suggestion that might help us improve this process.
Then explain your idea clearly. I think we should focus more on customer feedback to improve our service.
Psychological tip, slow thinking. Speak a little slower than normal. Your brain gets more time to organize your thoughts.
Also, don't try to sound perfect. Focus on being clear.
Because in real offices, people care more about your idea than your grammar.
In meetings, you often need to agree or disagree with others.
In agreeing, you can say, I agree with that point. That's a great idea.
For disagreeing, be polite. I understand your point, but I see it differently.
Or, that's an interesting idea. However, I think we should consider another option.
Psychological technique, softening language. Using polite phrases reduces tension and makes communication smoother.
And it also makes you sound more professional.
Because saying you are wrong in a meeting is not the best career move.
Asking questions shows confidence and interest.
Use simple phrases. Could you explain that again?
Or, can you give an example?
If you want to sound more professional, could you clarify that point?
Psychological trick, curiosity mindset. When you focus on learning instead of worrying, your brain becomes more active and less anxious.
And if you're thinking, what if my question sounds silly?
Remember, if you don't understand, probably someone else doesn't understand either.
Sometimes people interrupt you during meetings.
Yes, and it can feel frustrating, but you can handle it professionally.
You can say, let me finish my point, please.
Or, I'll come back to your question in a moment.
These phrases show confidence and control.
Psychological, calm control. Stay calm, don't rush, and continue speaking clearly. Now let's move to presentations. This is where many learners feel nervous.
Yes, standing in front of people, speaking in English, and trying to remember everything, it can feel like a challenge.
Start simple. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I will present our project results.
Then give structure. First, I'll explain the background. Then, I'll share the results. Finally, I'll discuss the next steps.
This structure helps both you and your audience.
Psychological technique, visual mapping. Imagine your presentation as 3 clear sections in your mind.
It's like having a mental roadmap.
Let's talk about nervousness. It happens to everyone.
Before speaking, take a slow breath and think, I am prepared. I can do this.
This is called positive self-talk. It reduces stress and improves performance.
Also, focus on your message, not your mistakes.
Because if you focus on mistakes, your brain creates more mistakes.
But if you focus on communication, your brain helps you express ideas.
Ending is just as important as starting.
For meetings, you can say, thank you, everyone. Let's summarize the key points.
Then, we agreed on 3 actions. First, complete the report. Second, review the data. Third, schedule the next meeting.
For presentations, you can say, thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Simple, clear, and professional.
Speaking is important, but listening is equally important.
Yes, because communication is a two-way process.
Practice active listening. I see your point. That makes sense.
Psychological technique, attention training. Focus fully on the speaker instead of thinking about your next sentence.
When you listen better, you respond better.
Confidence doesn't come in one day. It builds over time.
Start small. Speak one sentence in every meeting.
Then slowly increase your participation.
This is called gradual exposure. Your brain becomes comfortable step by step.
And one day, you'll realize you're speaking naturally without overthinking.
Let's start with client communication. This is one of the most important skills in any office.
Yes, because when you speak to a client, you represent your company. No pressure at all.
Start with a polite and professional greeting. Good morning. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
Then clearly state your purpose. I'd like to discuss your requirements and how we can support your project.
Keep your sentences simple and confident. Clients prefer clarity over complicated language.
Psychological technique, role visualization. Before the meeting, imagine yourself as a confident professional, not a nervous learner. Your brain follows that identity.
And when clients ask questions, calmly respond. That's a great question. Let me explain how we can approach this.
Sometimes clients ask difficult questions.
Yes, the kind of questions that make your brain go completely silent for a second.
In that moment, don't panic. Use a pause. That's an interesting question. Let me think for a moment.
This gives your brain time to organize your answer.
Then respond clearly. Based on our current data, we recommend this approach.
Psychological trick? Pause power. Silence is not weakness. It shows confidence and control.
Now let's talk about networking. This is where you meet new people and build professional connections.
Start with a simple introduction. Hi, I'm Alex. I work in the marketing department.
Then ask an open question. What kind of projects are you working on?
This keeps the conversation flowing.
Psychological technique, curiosity focus. When you focus on the other person instead of yourself, your anxiety decreases.
And your English becomes more natural because you're reacting, not overthinking.
Sometimes conversations stop suddenly.
Yes, that awkward silence where both people are thinking, should I say something?
To avoid that, use follow-up questions. That sounds interesting. How did you start working on that?
Or, what challenges are you facing in that project?
These questions show interest and keep the conversation alive.
Psychological trick? Conversation chains. One answer leads to another question. This creates a natural flow.
Let's talk about difficult situations at work.
For example, when something goes wrong and you need to explain it.
Start with honesty. There was an issue with the report, and I'd like to explain what happened.
Then take responsibility. I'm working on fixing it and will update you soon.
This shows professionalism and accountability.
Psychological technique, solution focus. Instead of thinking about the problem, focus on the solution. Your brain becomes more productive.
Giving feedback is also an important office skill.
Start with something positive. You did a great job on this project.
Then add your suggestion. I think we can improve the presentation by adding more details.
This is called the balanced feedback method.
It keeps communication respectful and constructive.
Now, let's talk about receiving feedback.
This can be difficult, especially in another language.
Stay calm and respond professionally. Thank you for your feedback. I'll work on improving this.
Psychological technique, growth mindset. See feedback as an opportunity to improve, not as criticism.
And if you don't understand the feedback, ask. Could you give me an example?
Phone calls can feel challenging because you can't see the other person.
Start clearly. Hello, this is Alex from the marketing team.
State your purpose. I'm calling to discuss the project update.
Speak slowly and clearly.
Psychological technique, voice awareness. Focus on your tone and clarity instead of speed.
Confidence is not something you suddenly get. It builds step by step.
Practice daily. Speak small sentences. Write short emails. Join conversations.
This is called daily exposure. The more you use English, the more natural it becomes.
Also, don't fear mistakes. They are part of learning.
Even experienced professionals make mistakes. The difference is they keep speaking.
So, what does fluency really mean in the office?
It doesn't mean perfect grammar.
It means clear communication, confidence, and the ability to express your ideas.
When you can explain your thoughts, ask questions, and respond naturally, you are fluent.
Psychological technique, identity shift. Start thinking of yourself as someone who uses English daily.
Your brain will slowly accept this identity and support your communication.
This brings us to the end of our Professional English for Office series on English Speakology 2.0.
Remember, learning English is not about perfection. It's about communication and consistency.
Use English every day, even in small ways.
Speak, think, and interact in English as much as possible.
And slowly, you'll notice a big difference in your confidence and fluency.
Thanks for listening to English Speakology 2.0.
Keep practicing, stay consistent, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.